my knowledge, the last time you could get a Jeep that looked like this and had a V8 engine was 1980, 41 years ago, when the American Motors Corporation made the CJ7 Golden Eagle. But the Golden Eagle's engine made less than 1/3 the horsepower that this one does. So really, Jeep has never made a vehicle like this. I'm driving the 2021 Jeep Wrangler Rubicon 392. But before I get into the details, please remember to subscribe to the CarGurus YouTube channel. And then you can hit the little bell icon. Make sure you get an update every time we publish a new video. 6.4 liters, 470 horsepower, 470 pound-feet of torque in a Jeep Wrangler. Looking at it all on paper, it is impossible not to feel a bit uneasy. These vehicles are meant to go off-road. They're engineered for going off-road. They're not engineered for doing 0 to 60 runs in 4.5 seconds. And yet, this Jeep can do 0 to 60 in 4.5 seconds, and it can go off-road. Full-time four-wheel drive is standard with selectable 4 high and 4 low settings. The Rubicon 392 also sits taller than a typical Jeep. It's got a 2-inch lift compared with a Wrangler Sport, and it's 1 inch higher than your typical Rubicon. The extra ground clearance is necessary because the 6.4 liter Hemi V8 engine in this Jeep Wrangler is just so much bigger than the Pentastar V6 engine that Jeep puts in virtually every other Wrangler. And that brings the total ground clearance to 10.3 inches. And that's a lot. 10.3 inches of ground clearance and sub 5 second 0 to 60 runs, those two things don't normally go hand in hand. And sure enough, the Wrangler 392 takes a fair bit more care and attention to drive than maybe a Jeep Grand Cherokee would. The all-terrain tires just don't lend to a smooth driving experience. And the noise is ever present. The Wrangler 392 features a performance exhaust that can be switched on and off using a button on the dashboard. It electronically opens valves in the exhaust system, reducing back pressure and creating that great grumbling sound. Turn it off to keep the peace between you and your neighbors, but turn it on when you want to make friends at your next Cars and Coffee event. Truth be told, every time you drive a Jeep Wrangler Rubicon 392, it is an event, and it is a riot. It's a Rubicon, as noted by the lettering on the front fender, but these bronze accents mark the 392 as something a bit more special than your run-of-the-mill four-door Rubicon. The bronze surround around the Rubicon letters, Jeep badging, and trail-rated emblem, plus the bronze tow hooks, all signal that. And of course, there's these 392 badges on each side of the hood to reinforce the fact. This is a functional hood scoop. It feeds air to the engine, but Jeep's HydroGuide intake system ensures that only air is getting to that engine, not water. Thanks to this series of ducts and drains, this Jeep can ford up to 32.5 inches of water, and you won't have to worry about any waves crashing over the hood. The 285/70 R17 BF Goodrich all-terrain tires look like they can tackle just about any terrain. At the back, we have quad tailpipes. Buy a Rubicon 392 and you get the body color hardtop, you get the body colored flares, the steel bumpers, and LED headlights and taillights all as standard equipment. To the layman, this just looks like a Jeep Wrangler, and we can all recognize one of those. But to a true Jeep fanatic, well, this is clearly a very different kind of beast. It may take some folks a running start to climb in here because it is tall. Honestly, I mean, it's tall enough, it feels like the closest I'm ever gonna get to driving an actual monster truck. And there are no side steps. I'm sure Jeep just looks at side steps as another thing to hamper the Wrangler when it gets off-road. Now, there are some things that are true for every Wrangler, and first and foremost is that the driver's seating position is high. It has this great clear view across the hood. The windshield is nearly vertical, which helps for visibility but hurts the Jeep's aerodynamics. It also means you will pretty much always have bugs splattered across your windshield. Door locks are on the doors, but the window switches are on the center console. That's because the doors come off, the windshield folds down, and the roof is removable, which, when all of those are gone, give this a really open-air driving experience, unmatched by anything on the market. At least, unmatched until the new Ford Bronco shows up later this summer. Now, pulling off the doors and the roof and the windshield, that makes for a pretty unique driving experience, but it is also a pretty decent hassle. Not to mention, once you have the doors and the roof off, you need to find a place to store those things. Far more practical is Jeep's fully retractable cloth sunroof. With this all the way back and the windows fully down, it's a pretty open air feeling with no hoops to jump through. Plus, you can get everything watertight in a matter of seconds, all from the driver's seat. The front seats on the Rubicon 392 offer extra bolstering to help keep you in place, and the leather-wrapped steering wheel features paddle shifters. That's a first for the Wrangler. We also enjoy leather upholstery, heated front seats, and a heated steering wheel as standard equipment on the 392. The backseat of all Wranglers is extra rudimentary, because you can see the structural bracing in the underside of the removable roof. Legroom and headroom is pretty good, and if you have the roof off, headroom is great. Behind the rear seat, you get 27.7 cubic feet of cargo space, and fold the seat down, that grows to 67.4. Those are super usable numbers. On July 13th, 2020, Ford revealed the upcoming Bronco and its turbocharged V6 engine, making 310 horsepower and 400 pound-feet of torque. And those numbers were significant because they vastly outclassed the V6 in the Wrangler. Also on July 13th, Jeep introduced the Wrangler Rubicon 392 concept. It's funny how that works. Because you see, the Bronco is the first real competitor that the Wrangler has had in, I don't know, forever. And crucially, it's coming out with an open-air driving experience and a ton of power. So Jeep had to retaliate, and the way they did? They created a Wrangler with even more power, but crucially, it also had the same off-roading chops that made the Wrangler a legend. The Rubicon 392 benefits from Fox shocks, improved suspension articulation, electronically locking differentials for the front and rear, and an electronic front sway bar disconnect. The 8-speed automatic transmission works really quickly and well. Jeep has definitely perfected this transmission. And the way it's tuned for this engine, the vast majority of the Wrangler's power and torque is all available right above idle. New Hampshire has these public roads. They're called Class 6 roads. And by definition, they're roads that have not been maintained by the state for at least 5 years. And these make terrific off-roading trails. Now, almost immediately after getting this car, I took it up on one of these Class 6 roads, and the Wrangler didn't break a sweat. So what would you rather have, the new Ford Bronco or this Jeep 392? The Wrangler's 8.4-inch Uconnect infotainment system, once a leader in the industry, now feels pretty outdated. Response time is slow, graphics are underwhelming. I like that Jeep has integrated the screen into the dash rather than just slapping it on as if it was some sort of tablet, like we see in a lot of different cars. Regardless though, at this point, I think we're ready for something a little better. For connecting devices, we've got USB and USB-C ports under this flap, plus another USB in the center console and 2 more of each for the backseat passengers. The 392 comes with a booming Alpine premium audio system and GPS navigation. It provides a 4G LTE Wi-Fi hotspot, satellite radio, and these off-road pages, which show you everything from pitch and roll to drivetrain power distribution. That one's right here. It also has GPS coordinates and altitude. I mean, if you're going off-road, this is the tech that you're gonna wanna have. From a safety standpoint, the Wrangler is not going to win any awards, but it is safer than it used to be. And the 392 gets the available advanced driver assistance systems included as standard equipment. Considering how it likes to float around a little bit on the highway, the Wrangler 392 doesn't feel the most inspiring. But on the other hand, it is basically a monster truck, so I doubt you are going to be the one feeling endangered when you're driving it on the highway. Now here is where the Jeep Wrangler Rubicon 392 starts to lose a little bit of its luster. A V6 Rubicon starts at $42,720, but the 392 starts at $73,745. Now, to be fair, the 392 comes with a lot of equipment as standard, and you'd have to pay extra for that if you got a V6 Rubicon. And anyone who has priced out a Jeep can tell you just how quickly that price tag climbs. But still, $31,025 is a huge markup over what's already an incredibly capable vehicle. And no, a V6 Rubicon is not going to put a Ford Mustang on notice at the drag strip, and this will. But take these vehicles off-road where the Wrangler truly belongs, and you could argue that the V6 will actually go further off-road than even this one will. And the operating costs are insane. The EPA says that this Jeep Wrangler 392 should get 13 mpg in the city, 17 on the highway, and 14 in combined driving. And over my first 275 miles driving the Jeep, mostly on the highway, but also with some off-roading thrown in, I saw 16 mpg. To put it into perspective, the EPA also says that buyers who pick up one of these will spend $10,000 more over the first 5 years in fuel costs than someone who buys a different, more average new vehicle. Simply put, you don't buy a Jeep Wrangler Rubicon 392 to save money. It is loud, it is bombastic, it is expensive, and it also might be the best Jeep ever made. Thank you for watching. Be sure to subscribe to the CarGurus YouTube channel. Is this the best Jeep ever, or is it just an expensive toy for bros with too much money? Let us know in the comments. And if you'd like to see a video review of the new Jeep Wrangler 4xe, let us know that too. We have a written review on that truck by Chris Wardlaw over at CarGurus.com and a written review of this one by George Kennedy. Head to CarGurus.com to read either one of those reviews, and we'll see you next time.